All right, we are live here on the You vs. You show. Excited to be on today. Again, You vs. You, the 12 ways to kick your own ass and win. This is a show that we want to just bring value to each and every one of you with some amazing guest speakers of people that are just elevating their game. They're kicking butt, taking names, and doing so much good for other people. This is a show where you can get great content absolutely for free that you can apply to your life. And of course, the most important battle that you're ever going to face is obviously you. You're looking in the mirror every day. It's not about competition. It's not about you versus him, you versus her. It's about you versus you. So we really definitely enjoy doing this show, and I definitely do my best to try to bring on some of the best guests that I possibly can that are relatable, that have pretty much every excuse in the world not to do great things, but they're choosing to grow and they're choosing to kick butt and take names, okay? So I have somebody that I've really just had such a great time coaching her over the past 4, 5, 6 months. I don't know how long we've been working together. It seems just like a few days, but Melissa Rosella from Arizona, I'm very jealous of where she lives because it's always nice, is on today, and she's got an amazing story. She is a mother. She's going to share her story. She just actually had another child just recently. She is an avid reader and an avid personal growth just person that just sucks it in, but not only that, is taking action on it. She has a book that she wrote, which I think I'll have her tell you about that. She's an aspiring author. She has written really a masterpiece, and I think it really is going to connect to the hearts of both men and women, especially if you reach the age of 40. So I want you guys to pay attention to this interview and help me welcome to the show, You vs. You show, Melissa Rosella. So Melissa, thanks so much for being on today. If you could just go ahead and introduce yourself and give us a little bit of your background.
Hi, thank you so much.
You're muted. There you go. You're muted. There you go. Yeah. Now you're not muted. You're good to go now.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So like Todd said, my name is Melissa Rosella, and I live in sunny Phoenix, Arizona, and I have 3 children. I live with my husband, Brian, and I am from the Hoosier state of Indiana. I've been out here for about 20 years. So I taught on the west side of Phoenix for 10 years. So I was a teacher, and then now I've been a stay-at-home mom for about 8 years now. And I love to write. So I have a blog on WordPress, and just recently wrote a book. When I turned 40, wrote a book, and it's in the editing stage. It's called 40 Years, 40 Lessons, and it's all lessons that I've learned over the last 4 decades of my life.
That's powerful. What made you want to do that? Because obviously, not everyone I talk to wants to write a book, but it's so hard. It's one of the most important things anyone can ever do, especially about their own life. What caused that inspiration for you with your background, being a teacher, and also being very busy over the past 5 to 6, 7 years, being a mom, stay-at-home mom? What drove you to also not just focus on the family only, but actually have that kind of vision outside of that? What drove that?
What drove that is I have had a lot of trials and tribulations in my lifetime, and I have always taken on the victim mentality. And it seems like when I turned 40, that shifted for me. It went from victim mentality to how can I learn from the trials and tribulations of my life and turn those into lifelong learning lessons. And so I started to write everything down, and I feel like I've really grown from what has gone wrong in my life. And it sounds kind of silly, but I think we grow from the kind of the negative experiences we have in our lives. We can grow so much and learn from them, and they're not so bad, right? When you look at it from a different perspective. An example is I was raised by, my mom has schizophrenia. I was raised by her when I was 15. She had to go to a mental institution. And I learned, how to be more compassionate and more empathetic with my mom that suffered from mental illness. So that's just one example that I talk about in my book.
Okay.
So I feel like I really just sort of grew up, to be honest with you, when I turned 40. People go against it, but I actually feel like these are the best years of my life.
Well, When it comes to even men, men make most of their money out after 40. They make most of their wealth after 40. I think with women, they kind of really find themselves around 40 because we're learning. I mean, it takes, and sometimes animals, like dogs, for instance, they stay a puppy for like so little time, and that's their cutest. And even our own children, but puppies last 5, 6, 7 weeks, and then all of a sudden they're like growing and they're not cute anymore, right? But humans, it's like, it takes so long for us to really evolve. And in our 30s, we're still making mistakes, hopefully not as much as our 20s. But, 40 is an interesting age. I mean, I'm 39, about to hit 40 at the end of this year. And you mentioned something that is massive, and that's the victim mentality. And if somebody still goes into their 40s with the victim mentality, oh my gosh, that could almost be like a waste of their life. Because if you think you're always the victim. So talk to me a little bit about that, because there's so many people out there that basically say, Todd, you don't know my story. I've been this and I've been that, and this person wronged me here. I've been betrayed. I've been cheated on, or I've been, my parents this, my parents that. What have you really come to at age 40 that has been eye-opening? Because you've had a lot of stuff happen to you too, probably negative. How do you keep that positive, not just attitude, but that positive expectancy for just a massive, compelling future?
It's a really good question. I feel like, through the coaching that I've had with you, and I've actually been working with you for a long time, almost 12 months actually. So I feel as though I've had, I've just been able to look at things from a different perspective, from a different point, changing my viewpoint, changing my view, changing my perspective. I think through reading and having a coach, having, being a part of the Inside Out program, having a tribe of people that I trust and am able to have people around me, friendships. We are the sum of the 5 people that we surround ourselves with, I think. And that's really important. And I've been able to be vulnerable with the people in my life. And once you put a voice to your vulnerability and your feelings, once you actually take out the fear of being forthcoming, you release that, and you're able to then walk through that pain a little bit easier, having a voice with that pain.
That's amazing. So I think a lot of times when someone plays the victim, they might not necessarily know they're playing the victim, but I think at that same time, people, no matter if you're a man, especially if you're a man, but even women are more open though, and easier, I think, because of just the way they're built. But vulnerability really equals courage. And we're not talking about, going public with all of the dirty stuff on a public basis, but just being vulnerable with someone you trust. That's what we're really talking about. And that takes a lot of courage.
Absolutely.
And so let's talk about, I'm looking at your notes here and what you really are passionate about talking about. And one of the things that you shared is shame versus guilt. What's the difference in your perspective? What's shame versus guilt?
Brene Brown is my hero. I love her. I learned so much from her. So guilt is I made a mistake. Shame is I am a mistake. So what we do is we walk around and we pigeonhole people. You are mean. You are bad. We pigeonhole people, and we pigeonhole ourselves. We say things like I'm a bad mom instead of I made poor choices today. Right? And so I think it's really important that we teach our kids, but we're also teaching ourselves that it's important that there's a difference between the behavior of a person and the person themselves, right? So shame focuses on the human being bad, and guilt focuses on the behavior, right? So there's the behavior of the person, and then there's the being of the person.
This is powerful.
Big difference, right? And so even my children, I've raised them that way, right? So there's times when I forget, and I'll say, I'm a bad mom. And my daughter Hope will say, Mom, no.
Right.
You made some poor choices, Mom, but you're not a bad mom.
Right.
So there's a big difference between, and my kids call me out because I've made it very clear to them that we don't name call in our household. We don't label. Okay, we call out the behavior, but not the person.
That's awesome, and I love what you said. So guilt is I made a mistake, and shame is I am the mistake.
Right.
So what would you say to somebody who maybe you meet, or maybe someone's watching this, and we don't really know the true story, especially on social media. It looks like everyone's just happy, go lucky, and everyone's having a wonderful life, right? But obviously there's a lot of people walking around with, I am the mistake. What would you say to that person of everything that you've learned, let's say in the past 12 months, motion code, body code, leadership, inside out stuff? What would you say to that person that thinks they are the mistake?
The first thing that I would do is I would teach them, the difference between shame and guilt, but I would also say, I would correct them. I would say, we all make mistakes and we all, do things that are not right, but look at all the things that you do well. And also I would provide empathy, because Brene Brown says, if you have a petri dish filled with shame and you douse it with empathy, the shame can no longer exist. So when you're empathetic with a person that's in a shame shitstorm, that's what I call it.
Yep.
You're empathetic with that person. When you show empathy, the shame can no longer exist. So I would provide empathy for that person. I'd ask them if they had a coach, if they had a tribe of people, a support system surrounding them. Because I think when you have people surrounding you that are like-minded, that are big dreamers and big thinkers, they influence you to then think big and think better about yourself. My confidence is huge having been a part of this program. Before this program, Todd, I was straight with you.
Yeah.
I
remember.
I wasn't feeling confident. And I have now a team around me that surrounds me. There's 30 people that love me. When I forget to love myself, my team reminds me of my gifts. And I think the first thing you have to have in your life is people that are for you, right? And Brene Brown says, people earn the right to hear your story. They earn it.
Love
so
it.
You find people that will have your back, and you share what's going on inside of you. You are vulnerable, and then you're free.
So you've done a lot of transformation, and I think, for you, you're a mother of 3 children, right?
Yes.
Yes. So I've been coaching a lot of moms over the years. I never asked for that, but a lot of moms reach out to me. And what's always for me that I respect so much is, obviously being a mom, I can't understand, but I'm also a father. So obviously there's something I can understand there, being a dad of 3 myself. But what's so impressive about you and also other moms is they don't just stay in that I'm a mom victim.
Right.
And that's a real thing. Well, I'm a mom and you don't understand. And, what you do is you're not only a great mom, great wife, but you also have this other side of you in the past 12 months that you're writing a book, you're inspiring people, you're posting. I mean, you have gone live almost every day on your Facebook, on your Instagram. You told me 12 months ago, Todd, I have a problem being vulnerable, and I'm afraid a little bit of this and that. And what about my family things and stuff like this? But now it's like, I don't care. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're not getting reprimanded by family members, or not that you care. But I'm just saying, how it is, like, why are you doing that? And stay down with us. So what are the pros and what are the cons of transformation?
I think the pros of transformation are that when other people start to see your transformation, it's infectious, and they want to know what's going on, and they want to know what you're doing. They are jealous of the transformation you're making. They want that too. They want that guidance. They want that, those disciplines compounded over time that equal big, massive results. They want to know what your daily schedule is. They want to be a part of that. And I think being vulnerable and speaking your truth, right? And speaking about your transformation then allows others to be courageous and brave in their journey.
Yeah.
So I think it It's a compound effect.
Yeah, and when I say con, I don't mean that like in a negatively, but I think when somebody transforms, I think some of the cons though, like that if you're not prepared for, are going to be ridicule, are going to be critics, and we all know what Theodore Roosevelt talked about. In fact, Brene Brown talks a lot about the Theodore Roosevelt talk in early 1900s when he's president. It's not the critic that matters; it's really the person that's doing the work in the game, in the sport. So. And I know you've been criticized. I've been criticized. You know, sometimes people don't want to hear about this because of their own, not because they're not good people, but because they have their own victimized of themselves, or they don't want to get vulnerable like you are on lives, but inside they really do. So what would you say to somebody to take their mask off? How does it feel when you do take that mask off and you actually are the real person you've always wanted to become?
It feels very freeing to me, because I think about the impact that if I give my feelings a voice, if I speak my truth, if I allow myself to be seen and heard, it then allows other people to have the bravery and courage to do the same. So my fear is not as important as my impact. My drive to impact the world and to change the world and make it a better place trumps my fear. Always. Doesn't mean it's not scary.
Right.
But I push through because I think of all the people that may need to hear about postpartum depression, or they need to hear about forgiveness, or they need to hear about mental illness, growing up with that. And I think about how they may be afraid to speak their truth, but if they see someone else speaking it, then maybe they will then seek help.
Wow. Yeah, of course. So, okay. So I'm that person right now, let's say. I love what you're saying, but oh gosh, what does that mean? Does that mean I have to do lives like you? Does that mean I have to write a book like you? Like, where can I start? Because, you know, I've gone through all this stuff and I want to transform. You inspire me every day. I might not comment on your posts. I might not even like it, but deep down, man, you are inspiring, but I'm just so afraid to come out of the closet. So to speak. So what would you say to that person on just a tip or education, or just to educate them, teach them? Because you're a teacher. So what would you teach me if I'm just like, I'm ready for the breakthrough, God, and they're even praying for it, but you're right there in front of them. What would they need to learn to how to really come out and to be the true person that they've always wanted to be?
There's a lot of things. I would say the first thing would be, I would ask if they have a coach, if they have a tribe, if they have people around them that are supporting them in their journey. And I would also ask them about their daily routine, because before I had you as a coach, I just sort of went with the flow. I didn't really know how to have one. Right. I started meditate. I would ask if they meditate. I would ask if they plan their night before for the next day. I would ask them if they're reading. I would ask them what they're watching, what they're listening to, what they're eating, if they're working out, if they have a gratitude practice. I mean, all of these tiny little things compounded over time make a massive difference in our lives. Do you have a tribe? Do you have people around you loving on you, cheering you on? Because without that, if you're surrounding yourself with the wrong people, you'll be the crab in the bucket. They'll pull you down, right? How dare you reach for the sky? How dare you try to leave us? You don't belong. You belong down here with us. Don't live a big life. Stay small, stay compliant, stay complacent. You have to see who you have around you, what you're listening to. Right now, don't watch the news. You know, don't watch the news. You know, it's depressing. So focus on what you're choosing to listen to, what you're doing first thing in the morning. Are you meditating for 15, 20 minutes in the morning? Or are you grabbing your social media and checking it and looking at all this negative, nasty news? Who wants to get out of bed and start their day on that note?
100%.
So I would check to see first if they have a coach, if they have somebody guiding them.
Absolutely.
That's numero uno.
Okay, so this is awesome. And you mentioned like a lot of C's, and I love that. And you're just going to be a fantastic coach. I mean, I know that's where you want to go, and you want to be
Absolutely.
man, you're going to be fantastic. I mean, people are going to be so grateful for your leadership. And it's such a great story. So tell me about a coach. So, I think a lot of times people are pitched a coach. Every other person on Instagram now is a life coach, and you have millennials being life coaches, which boggles my mind because what the hell have they done? You have to actually go through life to be a life coach. I don't even agree with life coaches. I don't like life coaching. I don't think it's a real thing. What we do is transformational leadership coaching, and then also motion code, body code. So what obviously getting into the specific transformational leadership side, what has that done for you to have not even a coach, but a guide to guide you on things that maybe you should have done or you didn't know about, but just knowing you have accountability every week. You also have to kind of answer for that because you can't just hang out because eventually we're all going to see you exposed, So what has that done to your psyche, knowing that, in the back of your head, when you don't feel like doing it necessarily, you don't feel like going for that run or that walk after you just had your baby when you're so tired, but you did it anyway. How does that happen?
My kids are watching me all the time. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I'm being a good example for them. I feel like my confidence has grown so much.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a plan every day. I have a plan of action. Mm-hmm. I have a system in place. And I think having a system of what are you going to do today to make the world better? What steps are you going to take? And having that written down and having a guide. And if I get stuck or I'm having a hard day, I have 30 people behind me. I can call you, and talk to you about what's going on. And I have a system in place, and it's amazing. My kids are now writing up schedules. My daughter wants to help me write the daily schedule now because she sees me in my planner. And my kids get involved with my workouts now. They want to be involved in my yoga and they want to do things too. So I'm rubbing off on my kids and they're watching me. And it's a phenomenal experience. It's amazing.
Wow. Well, I'm one of the things that you love to talk about, and then after we talk about this, we'll just, where can people follow you on Instagram and Facebook? Well, obviously, Melissa Rosella on Facebook, and we'll talk about your Instagram. But what you're really talking about is self-love and self-care. And when you're 20s, obviously, I think we love on ourselves because we might be single. Okay. So I remember in my 20 plus your metabolism is obviously a lot better than in your 40s and stuff, just naturally. So, in our 18, 19, 20-year-old bodies, we've never looked better. We're skinnier than ever. We always want to look that we're going tanning, we're looking for our boyfriend, our girlfriend, even our future mate. But the challenge is when you get to the 30, you already have your first kid, or your mid-30s, you have your second kid, and you've been married for 10 plus years, and it gets kind of apathetic, like looking good for each other maybe. And you're kind of like, yeah, whatever, I'm married, he ain't going nowhere, or she ain't going anywhere. But that's because you lose maybe that self-love for yourself. So could you speak on what is your perspective of like just loving on yourself and being the best version, and where that really comes from, and how can someone maybe get that back, where maybe they look in the mirror tonight and they're like, you know what? I haven't done a good job. I'm going to actually start working out more and eating right because dang it, it's not about another person. It's about me and what I think of myself.
Absolutely. So I think getting out of the victim mentality helped me. Looking in the mirror, I read David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me, and he talks about the accountability mirror, and that really changed me. I think really, I didn't learn to love myself, I'll be honest with you, until probably my mid-30s to turn 40. I'll be 42 in June. But I think it took me a really long time, and I'm diligent. I schedule my baths. I take time. I schedule my workouts. I take time to meditate. So I think actually, in the midst of the crazy schedules of my kids with soccer and ballet and events, I schedule in my self-care time, right? And I think a lot of times, a lot of people, a lot of women and men, that's the first thing to go. I'll do it later. I'll put it off. And I don't allow that for myself. Right. I am going on a run. my husband's amazing. Like, he knows this. Like, I need to run. I'm going to go.
Yep.
I schedule it in my schedule, and I make myself a priority. And I think just knowing that
That's
if
it.
you can't take care of yourself, you
Yep.
are no good to other people.
100%.
Right? You can't care for anyone if you're not caring for you. And I'm still working on it. I'm still working on it. It's something that I've been working on.
Yep.
But I think really honing in on, if you schedule your child's soccer game, why are you not scheduling in your workouts?
Amen.
Your you're reading your 10 pages,
Yep.
your meal planning, where is that? That is just as important as your
absolutely.
Your spouse. You have to take care of yourself. And the meditation, I'll tell you, is like numero uno. I can't skip that.
Yep.
And I'll tell you why. I yell at I'm more barky if I skip it. I am such a more compassionate, kinder person if I meditate right in the morning before my kids get up, right? I have to make a deal.
It seems like you meditated before this interview, because I feel like you're so soothing, and you're just so great at communication. I'm just so proud of you. Yeah, I mean, obviously what we use in our program is our planner. We have our planner, our achievement planner. We have books, obviously, my book. We got You Are a Badass. I'm reading right now the 1910, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. It's actually written in 1910. Amazing book. I mean, and then you got your pad here. So, I mean, right after this, I got my workout scheduled in about 10 minutes. It's leg day and shoulder day in my basement. So no one's watching me, but I'm still going to crush it like The Rock. And because I've been doing it over and over again. Integrity, doing what you say you're going to do long after the feeling has left you of wanting to do it. So I'm really excited about where you're going, and I'm excited about how many lives that you're going to impact. I mean, when I first met you, it was a little less than a year ago. I mean, I never would say, oh my gosh, that's going to be one of our top coaches. That's going to be someone that's going to impact this world. I mean, that's kind of usually how it happens, is most people that come to me, and that's really the definition of leadership, is to take an average person to inspire and encourage them to perform above average. Because I think we're all average when we first get into something that we don't know about. But the beautiful thing about a human being is we have everything inside of us to not be average, but we need that accountability, and we need someone to kind of pull that out of us. And that's what you have chosen to do. So I want to, two things, share any last comment. Would love to get one more nugget from you. And then where can people follow you on your Instagram and whatever you got to offer? So I'd love to hear those two things.
First thing I want to share is just don't be afraid to be vulnerable, to be seen, to be heard, to speak your truth, to put a voice to your feelings. I think that's what frees us. That's what heals us. And I think what makes us beautiful is our vulnerability and what we've been through in our lives. So don't be afraid to be seen and be heard. It's very important to just let yourself, be free and find that tribe and that group of people to be support to you. Also, so my Instagram is at Melissa Rosella. And of course, Melissa Rosella at Facebook.
That's awesome. So really encourage you, plug into what Melissa's doing. I mean, she definitely brings a lot of, I would say, humor, a very funny person. Any parent, especially if you're a mom, follow Melissa and really just, be friends with Melissa. Like, who wouldn't want to be your friend? So hang out, on social media there, get to know Melissa. She's amazing. She definitely has my verification in the real world that she is the real deal. And it's just been a joy to coach you. And I'm looking forward to this next chapter together of just you now, not just being coached, but you also taking your practice to the next level and really inspiring not only, of course, your family and your children, but so many other women out there that you inspire and encourage to perform above average. And they can also put their identity not just in their children, even though being a mom, awesome, amazing, being a dad is great. But like, if that's all I did, I don't know. I need to do something for humanity too. On top of that, not that that's not, but we have to have our own identity. So we're not just cleaning up and making macaroni and cheese all day. So even though that's a great thing, you still need to do your own adult thing and hang out with adults and have masterminds with adults, but also with the same time parents too, that you can relate and iron sharpens iron, and that's what we want to build here in the culture that we're building. So Melissa, thank you so much for your leadership and for being on today and putting yourself out there, being vulnerable, even on this. We really, really appreciate you. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Todd.
All right. And guys, we're going to be on tomorrow again with actually another guest, and he is a martial artist phenom. He will kick your butt, but at the same time, he will love on you, and he's one of the most empathetic, kind people I've ever met. So we're going to talk with Jed tomorrow from Colorado. But guys, hopefully you enjoy the show. Share this with someone. Tag your friends. Go follow Melissa's page on Instagram and Facebook. We really appreciate you guys for watching, even on the replay. Let's definitely get the word out about the You vs. You show. We're in our second week, and we're bringing it every single day, Monday through Friday. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you.